Today I'll teach you how to perform client-side validation for email address using data annotation in ASP.NET Core. So let's start. So the very first thing, I'll open Solution Explorer, and from there I'll be opening the model class. Now inside the class, I am adding a namespace called system.componentModel.dataAnnotations. This particular namespace is required for data annotations. Here I'll be adding one single property called email, which will be a string property. As you can see, at present I am adding a data annotation required, and I am setting the error message for it. This particular data annotation is used for performing required validations. It is very similar to required field validator. Now I am decorating the property with an email address data annotation attribute, and I am setting the error message for it, which will be displayed to the user when the validation fails. This particular data annotation is used for performing email address validation. So with this, our model class is complete. Now let's move to the view. Now inside the view, I am inheriting the tag helper classes. The next thing I am doing is adding a form. The method attribute I am setting to post. Then I am setting the ASP controller attribute to home. And lastly, the ASP action attribute to index. Now inside the form, I am creating an HTML table, and within the HTML table, the very first thing which I am adding is a text box. And for text box, I am making use of ASP4 attribute, and in the ASP4 attribute value, I'll be setting the email property. ASP4 attribute is used to set a value for a particular field. So in this case, it will be fetching the value from the email field. The next thing I am adding is the HTML span element, which will be used to display the validation error message. The HTML span has been set with an ASP validation 4 attribute. This particular attribute will be used for displaying the validation message for the model property. Now here you will notice I am adding attribute named class. This is required for setting the CSS class. Now I am adding a submit button, and for that I am making use of input element, and I am setting the type as submit, which when clicked by the user will submit the form to the action result method. Now let's move to the controller. Inside the controller, now I am adding an action result method for handling post call. The reason is that I'll be submitting a form. So that form will be submitted to this particular method. I am naming it as index, and I am passing the person model class object as parameter. Inside the action method, the view function is written. Now let's move to the top of the action result method, where I'll be adding the HTTP post attribute. Now again, let's move back to the view. In order to enable client-side validations, I am inheriting some script files, which includes the jQuery library, the jQuery validation plugin, and the jQuery validation unobtrusive JavaScript library. Here I have pasted some CSS classes. This is required for styling the view as well as setting the color for the error message, which will be displayed during validation. So with this, we are done with our view, and we can now run the project and see it in action. The text box and the button has been rendered, and also the validation is working fine. Now I'll be adding email address in the text box. So as you can see, the validation is working fine. So with this, we come to the end of this video. Thanks for watching. Please like, share and subscribe, and don't forget to click the bell icon. Goodbye.